What's up, YouTube universe? Andrew Williams here with another episode of Adventures in Excellence. And today I'm very excited to present a film I made of my personal trainer, Ted Love. Ted Love is a martial arts Hall of Famer and has achieved a very high level of mastery in the realm of health and fitness. I met him at my church a few years ago when he came to do a seminar, and I was so impressed with who he was and how he held himself that I wanted to hang out with him an hour a week. So I asked him to become my personal trainer, and I've gotten to know him really well ever since. So without further ado, let's see the film.
My name is Ted Love. I just made 57, and I am currently into real estate, and when I'm not doing that, I teach self-defense, personal training, and nutrition. When martial arts first gained popularity in the Midwest in the late 60s, early 70s, I was 10 years old, and like every other 10 years old, I was enamored by the media and the films. And it was right around that time when the martial arts schools began to open up in the area. And of course, if my grades were good, then I was allowed to join. And that happened in early 1974. I was arguably the first black belt in the Midwest under age 18. And being a black belt at such a young age, they were determined to send a message that a kid in the grown folks division was a mistake. So that forced me to be in above average condition, not only as a teenager, but in order to deal with the adults as well. The bench press, the squat, the chin up, 3 basic exercises that address the upper body, the lower body, and the center. Most people's difficulties come from posture distortion. And some of that is inherent, some of that is a bad habit. So these basics are designed to weed out and correct posture. And from posture, we can start building in terms of stabilization, conditioning, and subsequently power and size. When you say basics, anything that speaks to the whole greater than the parts. For example, instead of doing a specific exercise like bicep curls, which only speak to the target bicep, you would do an exercise that speaks to the entire upper body. For instance, a bench press speaks to the entire upper body, but if you were to emphasize stability over power moving of the weight, you would do maybe a push-up on an inflated ball, because the inflated ball is unstable, and a push-up forces you to concentrate on your core to establish the line for the push-up. So in that sense, that is the foundation for stability to lift a heavy weight like in the bench press. So that method of working on alignment and stability first, and then strength next, and then power last. Originally, it was very linear. It was a form of self-defense based on survival as a result of political oppression. Meditation, yoga, Zen, all of these esoteric schools that practiced methodic relaxation in order to get in touch with the core of what thought was composed of. All these things Americans were attracted to because of the turmoil of the 60s, the turmoil that was in their personal lives as the result. Gratification has replaced discipline. We look at food as the best friend that never complains, you can always win an argument with, instead of looking at food as simply fuel to speak to a larger outcome or a larger goal that you wish to achieve for yourself physically. Inspiration is always fun. It's like going into a toy store and you got 2 minutes to get everything that you can in 2 arms. But when the inspiration is over, the honeymoon is over, now the work starts. Here comes the discipline. Now you have to show up. Now you have to show up consistently. Now there's no room for excuses. Now you got to show up when you don't feel like doing it, when you do feel like doing it, when the weather is below zero, when the weather is just right. Now it's starting to require something of you, because a goal always has a tax that you have to pay. And oftentimes the tax involves a sacrifice. Now the higher you go, the bigger the sacrifice. Most of your quality athletes or quality martial artists enjoy music. They like good music. Personally, I'm an aficionado of jazz. In college, I used to hang out at the jazz clubs, and I knew musicians that I was bodyguards for, and I would go to their rehearsal sessions all the time, and I would listen to their language, how they would forge out notes and pull out pauses and cadences and not satisfied with this beat, but it was okay with that beat. And that translated into my training, until it became that most of my students were either actors or musicians or dancers. So technically, their profession was not power and violence. It was more a commitment to refinement, a commitment to approach. And when you do that, automatically you're going to run into baggage, whether it be emotional, whether it be intellectual, or critical. And most of the time it's critical. And that's what we have to reconcile, and in some cases just ignore on our way to excellence. So yes, they probably gravitate towards me because I appreciate and embrace that approach, and vice versa.